The average person is said to spend 15 minutes in the bathroom. Why not take advantage of that time and learn something new? Presenting the 15-minute podcast on weird facts, crazy details, and funny particulars that you'll be able to enjoy while you're taking a on your free time. Welcome to The Shit with Sam Butler. Welcome to another episode of The Shit Podcast. I'm happy to be here. I'm your host, Sam Butler. Thank you guys for joining us. I have a very special guest. Finally, man, it's been a long time. I hadn't seen my buddy here in maybe 2 or 3 years since the pandemic, and he's finally made his way back around to El Paso, doing some shows with me. Stand-up comedian, actor, multi-talented guy with us today, my friend Peter Loaiza. You might find him as Pinchy Peter on all the social media platforms, but he's here today. Hey, welcome back, Peter.
Hey, brother. Thank you so very much for having me on your show. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm having a great time in El Paso, and I'm grateful that you're spending time with me.
Well, we're actually here in Juarez right now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry. It was a border we crossed.
Yeah, it was an international border we came across right now. But welcome to the podcast, bro. It's been a minute, man.
It's been a minute, and I'm glad to see that you guys are expanding and growing. The last time I was here was more like 4 years ago.
I think you were here like 5 years ago, but we've seen each other since.
Yeah, because you've gone to LA.
I've gone to LA. We've worked together on different things.
Yeah,
but you hadn't been to Juarez in probably 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah. And it's a treat to see you guys. I mean, I know you guys were busting your asses building the set, and to come in here and see what you guys have built, it's amazing.
Yeah, I remember the last time you were here, this was actually a late night, and we would do that live broadcast. And, and we'd have a little stand up going on. There was bleachers.
Yeah, I did a little stand up.
We're sitting in the bleachers right now, literally. You know, this is where the bleachers used to be. And when I started the podcast, they're like, "Sam, that's your wall. You can do whatever you want." And I said, "All right, I'm gonna make it look like my cigar lounge."
That is so awesome, Sam. It's inspirational, man. I mean, you know, as comedians, we get very little validation.
Yeah, no, it's been great working here for the last 5 years, and it's great to have you here. I picked a topic for you. We did this episode in Spanish already. We're doing the English, but like I mentioned in the Spanish podcast, I picked this topic specifically because you do a joke, and it's my favorite joke that you do. As a matter of fact, I was doing a show with Carlos Vallarta.
Right.
And I said, my friend does this joke about farm workers. I go, he says he's a carnivore. He doesn't eat vegetables because vegetarians won't eat animals because of the mistreatment of animals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. I said, but then he only eats animals because of the mistreatment of the Mexicans that are picking the vegetables. Right. I think that joke is so good. It's so genius, you know. And I was literally, I'm not lying to you, we were on the road, and Carlos goes, "Oh, Pinchy Peter does that joke."
That's great.
So your joke's getting around, bro. It's a good joke, you know.
That. I actually thought of that joke because I was homeless in LA. I just came from San Diego, and I didn't want to get like a real job, so I actually went down to Ventura.
Yeah,
and I picked strawberries, man. I picked strawberries for like 2 hours.
Way to hang in there, bro.
Hey, bro, that's all. Dude, I was fainting, man.
Yeah.
And I felt a little embarrassed because there I was, bro. I'm like 28 years old, and I'm thinking I'm fit.
Yeah.
But being under the sun with gloves and bandanas dude, it was just my respect to the people that do that for a living. It is the hardest job next to holding a gun and shooting somebody, I think.
I think that's easier.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you might have the psychological side effects later.
Gotcha.
But being in
the action itself, it's easier.
Yeah, but being in the sun all day, picking fruit, bent over.
Sam. Not only that, bro. Here I am, 27 years old, and like they give you like an aisle.
Yeah,
that's your aisle, both sides. And I started, you know, it was 6 o'clock in the morning, so I started fresh, man. Like the first 15 minutes, I rocked it. Pero luego, after the hour, like these 40-year-old ladies, like they were like already like halfway down.
Yeah.
You know, and they would just look at me like,
that guy's not gonna make it.
Yeah.
That guy's done.
Sam, I swear to God, the only reason I quit is because I it was that or passing out on the field.
And I'm going to tell you, they probably were running bets. Like, how long do you think this guy's going to make it?
Jesus Christ, it's the hardest job
I say
ever.
he's done by lunch. He looks fit. He might make it till 1 o'clock.
And at the time, I was dating this white girl and she was vegetarian. And, after quitting, I said, "What happened, Peter? I quit, man. I can't do that. That's for real Mexicans."
So there you go. There you go. He was homeless in L.A., but he had a white girlfriend.
Yeah. The American dream.
That's crazy. How does a homeless guy in LA get a white girlfriend? I don't know.
Well, to be fair, we were just dating.
You were a project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what she said. "Oh, I'm vegetarian because of the inhumane treatment of the animals. That's why, Peter."
Yeah.
And I freshly coming from the fields, it's like, honey, what about the inhumane treatment of the Mexicans that pick the vegetables so you can have the luxury to be vegetarian?
It's crazy,
So,
but I love that joke, and so I thought we'll do an episode on Cesar Chavez, because this is the shit podcast, and to me, see, even though he has his flaws, man, there's one detail we left out in the other episode that I thought, whoa, that's crazy, and we'll cover it in this one. Hopefully, we have enough time. But Cesar Chavez unionized farm workers.
Yes, he did.
Now, my family's from the East Coast. My dad's side of the family's from the East Coast. Super anti-union because we've always been self-employed.
Right.
And I say we because I'm self-employed too. So for a small business, self-employed guy, the union's like the worst nightmare.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Because it keeps you from living the American dream of going out and saying, I'm going to go generate my own business. I'm going to make my own money.
Right.
Now I got to deal with a guy. That's the bad part about unions. The good part about unions is that they're necessary to protect people's rights. I 100% agree with that.
Right.
But then the union becomes unnecessary when people use that as a tool to not have to go out and do anything because
of course.
they're protected. So it's kind of a love-hate relationship with the
Yeah.
unions. But he unionized a segment of the population that needed to be unionized, which was the farm workers because of the inhumane treatment of farm workers.
Exactly.
Right. And we live in El Paso. I live in El Paso, and we have a lot of farming. And you see guys that come in and man, they have to work really hard to earn their money.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that there's some sort of regulation and control, and it had to be someone like Cesar Chavez to do this.
And he did. I mean, in the 1960s, he with Dolores Huerta, you said, right? And
Dolores Huerta. The other gentleman was Philip Veracruz.
Yeah, Philip Veracruz. They got together, and they revolutionized.
That's right.
And thanks to them, granted, things are not better for Mexican Americans as a whole.
They're better than they were in the 60s.
But they are better
Yeah.
for the Mexican Americans or the Mexicans that pick pick the vegetables and work those kinds of jobs. Yeah, I mean, this is what makes me sad. Like, this man dedicated his whole lifetime to create better circumstances for these people, and the circumstances, the changes that really happen, Sam, are just like minimal.
Yeah. But it takes generational sacrifice to make those changes, and he was an impressive guy. The United Farm Workers movement,
which is still going now.
One of the first things that he did a march, a walk from Delano, California. We used to do a casino in Delano, Aviators, remember? Aviator Casino in Delano, which is, if you've ever been there, it's a small farm town. But he walked from there 340 miles to Sacramento. It took him weeks.
Wow.
And he started with
to make his point about
67 workers in the 60s. And I can understand with racism and the civil rights movement and everything that was going on in the 60s, I can just picture the white farmers going like, who's this Mexican think he is? That kind of thing.
Trying to unionize them farm workers.
Oh, we'll teach them,
Right.
67 workers and himself started walking, and then other people started joining the group, kind of like that movie, like in Forrest Gump, when he starts running. That's what I picture when I read it.
Builds up slowly.
And it built up, and that was successful. So that showed that he had the opportunity to do something for the union, to organize labor. And that leads us to the other term. I mean, one of the things that he was against, and which was controversial and it lost him a lot of following, was something that you mentioned earlier, and it's the fact that he was very anti-illegal immigration.
That is correct. And in my mind, he divided. I mean, not to discredit anything he did. He was an amazing man with tremendous accomplishments for Mexicans and the United States. But this is historically, geographically, it's hard to say that, Mexicans in the United States, you can't just contain us to the United States. When you say Mexicans, you're talking about Mexico, and Mexico, what it used to be. Remember, when the United States purchased the land, they purchased those Mexicans that came with the land.
Yeah, we didn't cross the border crossed us.
Right.
Right.
And Cesar Chavez was looking out for those Mexicans specifically.
Yeah.
It broke my heart to hear him, and I get it. He did it because of his frustration. I don't think he did it out of maliciousness. I don't think he hated Mexicans that are illegal immigrants. I don't think he hated them, but they were making his movement a difficult journey for him. So out of frustration, somebody stuck a camera in his face and they asked him, how do you feel about illegal aliens? And he went and he said those detrimental words that in a lot of people's mind, it totally erased all his efforts.
That's right.
When he divided us by calling us,
he did something else that kind of got him in hot water with the union and with all of the following. Is he actually met with Marcos in the Philippines?
Ah, right,
right, because he was trying to organize the Filipino migrant workers, and that was like, well, he's a dictator. He's got a lot of humanitarian issues, a lot of genocide issues.
Yes.
Why are you associating with that guy? So he started to lose favor in the eyes of the United Farm Workers.
I think so.
Right. In addition to his stance on immigration, which later he kind of changed, he backpedaled a little bit on it. He was more accepting towards illegal immigrants, understanding the plight.
Right.
He was born in Yuma, Arizona, so he was a Mexican American.
Oh yeah, he never crossed the border.
Yeah, he was not a Mexican. He was an American of Mexican descent.
That is correct.
Right. His family had a farm in Yuma. They lose their farm because of back taxes, and they end up having to work as laborers for other farms. And that's when he really started to take on the movement. He had a lot of good accomplishments. There's a U.S. Navy cargo ship named after him. There's a lot of monuments named after him. And the phrase that he coined was "Si se puede," yes we can.
Yes.
And it's funny because President Obama used that in his 2008 presidential campaign.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
So I think he did a lot of good. If you guys agree or disagree, it'd be a good topic to bring up in the comments.
I just want to clarify that, I know we hold him at such a high standard, but he's only human.
That's right.
And I believe that what he did was a human mistake out of frustration. So like I said, I know that sometimes I can come across a very but I'm not anti-uniting the Mexican people at all.
Yeah.
I just, it was heartbreaking because I was very invested in him.
That's right.
In his movement. Actually, in college, man, I met another guy very similar to him. His name is Luis Valdez. And Luis Valdez, he wrote these things called Los Actos. Y Las Dos Caras del Patroncito. It's called No Saco Nada de la Escuela. Y Los Vendidos is one of my favorites. And we used to, bro, when I started in college, we used to rent 18-wheeler, those bed trucks, and take them to the fields and perform these. They call us actos.
Okay.
And these actos have been being performed in those fields since the 1960s when Luis Valdez was there.
Nice.
With Cesar Chavez.
So it's a way of entertaining the troops.
Yes, entertaining the troops, if you will, which was very essential to give them information and morale and self-esteem. So I was highly invested, and I believed in my Chicano and Mexicano y orgullo. Y when this guy came out, it
is detrimental to you.
It was very detrimental to.
Yeah.
But then again, I acknowledge everything that he did. He's a great man. Si se puede, pero también somos. I mean, we're human. So
I'm gonna drop a bomb right now.
All right.
A lot of the research that I did turns out that Cesar Chavez was very Catholic. Right. And in a way, he tried to integrate his Christian beliefs with the activities. So it
enforcing the grapes by the sword.
Yeah. he was doing the Inquisition. No, but something that further divided his following was that he became interested in a cult called, and I might say it wrong, it's Synanon.
Synanon.
The Synanon cult was an anti-drug cult. And
when you say anti-drug, what do you mean?
He was like, hey, we got to get you clean.
Okay.
We have to intervene. And it started out as a rehabilitation program,
okay,
right?
Gotcha.
So he studied the modern management techniques and group dynamics.
Wow.
Right? So it was like life coaching almost, right? Now I was like, Synanon, is that like cinnamon? is that like Cinnabon? I can get behind the Cinnabon cult, right?
That's a sweet treat.
That's a sweet treat. But I looked up Synanon, and this was something that I thought was like, wow. So it was originally established as a drug rehabilitation program.
Okay.
And it was founded by Charles E. Chuck Diedrich Sr. He lived from 1913 to 1997. In 1958 in Santa Monica, California. We know that's not weird, right? And in the 1960s, it became an alternative community-centered to group truth-telling sessions that came to be known as Synanon Game, a form of attack therapy.
Wow.
The group ultimately became the Church of Synanon in the 1970s, and Synanon disbanded in 1991 due to members being convicted of criminal activities, including attempted murder, retroactive loss, and tax-exempt status with the IRS. So due to financial misdeeds and destruction of evidence and terrorism.
Yeah.
So he became involved with this
group, with this kind of history.
And that came from his religious,
roots,
morality.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, we got to get you off drugs, kind of a thing. We don't know to what extent he was part of that, but this cult was considered one of the most dangerous and violent cults that America had ever seen.
Oh my God, Sam! The fact. Thank you for that information. I didn't know.
That's crazy, right? Like you're thinking this is like, this is insane. Like
he's human. He's got his own little agenda, just like every human does. And you know how we're artists, so we grow up hearing this. ¿Sabes qué? You know what? I'll never sell out.
Oh no!
You know what? It's easy to say you're never going to sell out when no one's offering to buy.
Yeah. No, I had I had Israel Garcia. When Israel Garcia and I were starting out, we were on the road, and I'd go like, bro, if Coca-Cola offered you $100,000 to dress up as a Coke can and go do your set, you wouldn't do it? He goes, no, never. I was like, bro, I'd be like, where's that Coke can? 100,000? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
I mean, we all, to a certain point, we all have a price. If you have a job, you have a price.
Of course.
Right?
Well,
because that's what you're willing to sell your time and life for. You know what I'm saying?
This is why I don't understand why Americans bitch about the illegal immigration. We are a capitalistic society. What the so-called illegal immigrants are doing, capitalistic speaking, is a brilliant move.
Yeah.
When you don't have any money,
then you go make money.
You lowball everybody out of a job.
Yeah.
I mean, these people should be writing books about this. We should be praising their
endeavors.
Yes, their endeavors, because they start from nothing. They are truly the people that start from nothing.
They're capitalistic.
They are the real true capitalist of America. And instead of learning from them,
I never thought about it that way. That's pretty cool.
We are we put them down. You know why we put them down? Because they're being successful at it. Right. Because the Mexican will work. You cannot outwork a Mexican. And my dad is very proud, like, mijo, we're workers. And not to be the devil's advocate, pero le digo, Dad, like, let's not brag about something we were born and bred to be.
Yeah. But this opens up a whole topic for conversation. If you guys would like to leave some comments on the channel, I want to say a shout out to Los Cagadienses, my official Facebook page. If you guys want to leave stuff there, if you want to leave stuff on the YouTube channel, leave comments. I read them. It's an interesting topic. We can keep talking about this for hours. Yeah, unfortunately, we're out of time. I want to close it out with a quote from Cesar Chavez that, to me, he did a lot of good, and I respect what he did for the culture. And this is the quote. It says, if you really want to make a friend, go to someone's house and eat with them. The people who give you their food give you their heart. And in that spirit, I'm willing to come eat at your house. So you guys let me know. I need more friends.
Whenever you're having carne asada.
Actually, that's my whole thing. Like the whole reason that my social media presence is Tu Amigo Sam is for that reason. I really, truly, generally want to make friends with everyone.
That's a great endeavor.
I just did a course, a voiceover course, and one of the exercises was like, think of someone you hate, and I couldn't think of anyone. I don't hate anyone.
Really?
I don't hate anyone. Like I was like, I really don't hate anyone.
You know what's so sad when they tell me I think of myself?
It makes perfect sense. No, but thank you for joining me, Peter. This was a very fun episode. How can people find you on social media? I know I mentioned at the beginning, but how can people find you?
It's awesome. First of all, just thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to make time for me. Thank you, Sam. We're fucking brothers.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in, please be interested, I should say. In following my comedy, you can find me at Pinchy Peter. Pinchi is misspelled for a purpose.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So you can Google me, and I'm the first one that comes up.
The only Pinchy Peter.
That is right. So Pinchi. You can find me at Pinchy Peter at all my social medias, Instagram and et cetera, et cetera. So thank you so much for.
And if you guys follow him and he's got a show in your town, I guarantee you'll have a good time. Go check it out. We had a great show last night at the comic strip. So thank you for coming down. You can find me as Tu Amigo Sam. That's Tu Amigo Sam on all my social media platforms, as well as my YouTube channel. And you can find me on social media, on platforms for podcasts as Sta Cagado Podcast. That's right. The Shit Podcast is on that channel, Sta Cagado Podcast. Thank you, guys. That wraps us up for this episode of The Shit Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.
Viva la revolución.